start with the school board trustees. We have 3 running in the area, and I'm going to ask that each of you start with your name and a little bit of an opening statement. We'll start on the left.
My name is Mackay. I've been a resident of Fox Creek since 2006 when I moved here to be with my husband, who's been a resident since 1980. We have 3 girls in Fox Creek School going on 14 years with 6 more years to go. I decided it's time for me to be more involved with my child's education and be more involved with the whole process. I'm passionate about what is best for my children and the children of our community. I stand up for what I believe in while able to maintain the respect of others. I've always been a strong supporter of my community, whether it comes to sitting on community boards, volunteering time for other local groups. My husband and I own and operate a family trucking business. I currently sit on the board of directors for the Fox Creek Curling Club and am coaching the senior girls volleyball team at the school. I feel I'd be best suited for the position as school trustee for Northern Gateway Ward 3 because I simply am a parent of the community. I speak with the parents a lot. I share the concerns and struggles we're all facing with our children. I'm unbiased, unjudgmental, and fully respect all opinions when it comes to having different views, and I'm willing to fight for those concerns and what's best for our children. I truly believe that we as parents need a stronger voice and support when it comes to our children's education, and I feel I can be that voice for the community. Over the years, I feel like parents have stepped back and they're now wanting to be heard again. There's now more concerns and changes with education. I was saddened by the lack of attention that several parents reached out to the division previously, and I just feel we need to be heard again. There's always room for improvement in everything we do in life, but our children's education should be most important because they're our future. Our teachers also deserve to be heard. With constant struggles of budget cuts, new curriculum drafts, we all know what's happening there. There's so many challenges. But our teachers here have been so resilient, and they've proven that through online to in-school learning, and they also need our support. And if we don't give them that support, what kind of education are our children really going to have? And I'm motivated, inspired, and ready to give our children and the families of Fox Creek a voice because we all matter. And I'm open to hearing concerns and doing my part to make Fox Creek School a better place.
Thank you, Dawn.
Good evening, everyone. I'll start with a little bit about myself. My name is Gillian Petch. I'm a longtime resident of Fox Creek. I'm actually one of the few that can say I was born here. I did spend most of my childhood in Winnipeg, but I did end up coming back and graduating from high school here before going on to university to study archaeology and classics. Obviously, that route didn't pan out as I ended up back here in Fox working at the town in my new career, and I'm proud to say that I recently received my certificate in economic development. I was extremely privileged growing up to have been raised by educators and to come from a family that understands the importance of lifelong learning and genuinely enjoys it. Many will wonder why I'm running for school trustee since I don't have children, and that is a completely fair question. But I would like to pose a question in return. Why does anyone need to have children to care about people's education? Now, I do have nieces who I'm very close with who are currently enrolled at Fox Creek School. However, I do think that we can all agree that supporting education is a goal of the utmost importance for anyone, no matter what their familial status is. If elected, I aim to serve our school students, our staff, and the parents as best as I possibly can by ensuring that our school maintains a strong voice within the district, that our teachers are advocated for, that students receive all the support they need, and all without falling on a personal agenda or belief system. I would voice my utter opposition to the province's new draft curriculum, which would inherently set the province's children back decades socially and educationally, that would have children finding positives in bigoted rhetoric and not foster any understanding of our country's role in systemic racism. I would support, advocate, and encourage any advocacy efforts that would address any of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action. I would also support any staff's desire to take their education further and to stay informed of current trends in education and development, because only through supporting our teachers will our students also thrive. In regard to COVID-19, I agree with the sentiments voiced by the current board in their letter to the province. The weight of determining the safest health practices for a large portion of our province's most vulnerable should not be placed in the hands of those that are unqualified, like a school board. With funding cuts and the current pandemic, stress levels within the school are at an all-time high, so we need to set aside our egos and focus on how we can support learning in Fox Creek. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian.
I've been involved in education for the majority of my life. Student, teacher, school administrator, division office, and school trustee. These experiences have given me the knowledge, background, and tools to continue to represent you effectively on the Northern Gateway Public School Board of Trustees. These are very important times in education, both at the provincial and local levels. The division has recently engaged a new superintendent of schools, and while he has the full confidence of the board, he needs the guidance and support of an experienced and strong board to make the transition to his new role. The uniqueness and special needs of Fox Creek School need to be represented and defended so that a quality program can continue to be offered. This programming must be maintained and enhanced at all grade levels despite our falling enrollment. The current strong leadership at Fox Creek School must be maintained and supported so that we can continue to improve and provide quality educational experiences for all students of Fox Creek School. There are a number of challenges the board faces at the provincial level. The current provincial government has introduced a draft curriculum that has been panned by almost every stakeholder group. Once this curriculum is implemented, it will guide the education of our children for years to come. I will encourage the board to continue the lobby of the provincial government, along with our fraternal organizations, to have this curriculum revised so that it meets the needs of students, so that when they leave school, they are well equipped to enter society with the tools and knowledge that they will need to be successful. Provincial funding for education has not kept pace with the needs of students. These shortfalls have seen the loss or diminishing of many services and programs that were once common in the past. Teacher librarians, guidance and personal counseling, assistance for special needs students, band, second languages, to name a few. These shortfalls are particularly evident in small schools. All schools in the province are funded under the same basic formula. Unfortunately, this model puts smaller schools at a severe disadvantage, with larger number of schools able to offer more services and programming. Students in rural Alberta do not have access to the same levels of education available in larger centres. I have continued to bring the situation to the attention of the board, and we in turn have lobbied the Minister of Education to address this unfair inequity. With your support, I will continue to use my experience and strong voice to advocate for our school and children. Nothing is more important. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So without further ado, we'll get on to our first question. And for the first question, Dawn, we're going to start with you and move towards Jim. For the second question, we're going to start with Jim and move towards yourself. And then I think on the third question, we know who's going first, right, Gillian? Okay. The first question has a couple parts, and you'll have 90 seconds to answer. What is your stance on the proposed K-6 curriculum draft? What steps will you take to advocate for an equitable, inclusive, and anti-racist curriculum in Alberta?
I think it's ridiculous, to say the least, that they're expecting children of these ages to articulate what is in this curriculum. And I think the only way we can support that is by listening to the teachers and using their voices as to how they know what's best for our children, as do we, and we need to take that suggestion into account.
Thank you.
I think the province has made a pretty big mistake with this curriculum, and across the board, province-wide, a lot of school districts have shown opposition to it. rightfully so. Like I said earlier, it does promote bigoted and racist rhetoric while completely ignoring any advancements in critical race theory. I think that lobbying for another adjustment to the curriculum is needed, absolutely. And I think just lobbying to the province is a good step.
Thank you.
The proposed curriculum that was set up by the government was put together by curriculum experts. Unfortunately, they did not involve to a great degree the people who are actually in the classroom with students, the teachers. A lot of the proposed curriculum is not age specific. It's all over the board. There are a number of political agendas riddled throughout the curriculum given to that party, and it fails totally in the area of reconciliation. We have the board and again, the Alberta School Boards Association, the Public School Board Association of Alberta, and most of the school boards in the province have refused to pilot the program, seeing all of the shortcomings in it, and are continuing to pressure the government to do a total revision and include all stakeholders in that revision as opposed to just the experts.
Thank you. For our second question, we're going to start with Jim, and we're going to go to the left. Why are you running for school board trustee? If elected, what will your priorities be?
As indicated in my opening dialogue, I have been involved in education all of my life at almost every level. Education has been my passion and continues to be so. I have grandchildren who are currently at Fox Creek School and other grandchildren who are at other schools within the division. And want to ensure that they continue to receive a high quality of education. If elected, I will continue to advocate again for proper funding for small rural schools. It's totally unfair what's available in the large schools and not available in small schools. There must be some kind of an allowance for a minimum offering in every school in the province, where we have classes that sometimes have to have 2 or 3 sections in it, say biology 10, biology 20, biology 30, or offering courses on every second or third year. It's not acceptable. Our students deserve the same quality education as every other student in the province, and that has to be addressed.
Thank you.
I'm running because I do care about education for everyone in general across the board, not just for the students, but for the teachers. And I feel that especially now with the pandemic, it's falling behind. I have 3 priorities amongst probably a long list of priorities, but my top 3 would be addressing supports for children and teachers in rural communities like our own. It would be to recognize and hopefully change the curriculum so we don't have to implement it. And it would be ensuring that there are opportunities for children in rural communities to try out things that are not offered in Fox Creek right now. Your extracurriculars, your band, your art programs, and yeah, I could keep going, but that's the gist of it.
Thank you.
As stated before, I'm just very passionate about getting involved with the community's education system in general. My number 1 focus is communication between students, teachers, the school, and then the school board on that level. And also, of course, funding issues, as Mr. Hales and Gillian also stated. Being in a rural community is very hard on our children in general, not getting the education they deserve and that's equal to other opportunities that the cities get, et cetera. And number 3, of course, the curriculum and dealing with that and voicing our opinions and putting a stop to that and hopefully revamping the proposed curriculum.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal or comment? I thought I saw some movement in the group.
Some movement. Just to elaborate on Gillian's point, when I first got to Fox Creek, the population of the school was a little larger, but we had a staff of just about 60, 30 of which were teachers, and the rest were support staff. Since that time, the Department of Education has continually cut back the funding for our special needs students. They've gone to an inclusive model, which is having the students in the classroom. And that's an ideal model, those types of students in the classroom. And that's an ideal model, providing you have a limited number of students in the classroom. But when you have 25 plus students, plus you have the special needs people in the classroom without assistance to help out, it's an untenable situation. Provincial government needs to fund special education to a much more adequate level. And that's for all of to the benefit of all of our students. It's not those with special needs.
Further comment?
I concur.
Any further comment on that question? Looks like we've beat that one. The third question, which will start with you, Gillian. What is your perspective on the best ways to collaborate with other levels of government? Ooh, I think my computer's moved. Sorry. What issues do you believe need to be addressed in our districts, academic programs and offerings? What changes would you recommend?
I think it kind of all comes down to funding, and unfortunately we can't make up for those shortcomings because of a lack of funding. What changes I would make would be, well, the board has a lot on their hands to try and allocate justly which schools get what, and to ensure that equal representation is there. It does involve lobbying the provincial government for that extra funding and to prevent those cuts. 100%.
Thank you. Dawn.
As Mr. Hales and Gillian also said, it all comes down to funding. I know a big issue for me is sports. Like I'm coaching volleyball, and it's a struggle there's so many kids that want to play sports and just can't afford it. So that's one of the things. So we need to push for more money or more equal division of the money from the province of Alberta between city schools, rural schools, level the playing field, so to speak, in regards to all that and the special needs programs. Even I know I've talked to our principal, and it's hard to even get teachers to come to a rural when he's trying to hire. So I don't know if money is the answer for that, but I think it would certainly help.
Thank you.
We've done that funding. It's obvious funding is definitely a problem with the provincial government. And given the state of the economy, it's probably not going to get a lot better for a long time. Well, we've said that Fox Creek school students have been put at a disadvantage due to some of the program offerings and supports that may be in place. They also have a number of very distinct advantages. They have this community has been absolutely fantastic in supporting the school. We've taken the classroom beyond the walls with our RAP programs, post-secondary education programs, work experience programs, the whole thing. Industry in the area has also been extremely supportive, and with their assistance, the Fox Creek School has a large number of things that aren't in other schools. So that's a very positive thing, but it should not be the responsibility of the town industry to fund education. That is mandated as a provincial responsibility, and they must step up to the plate and do that. Educating our children is of primary importance. It cannot be shuffled off. So they need to start getting the priorities straight.
Thank you. Any rebuttal? We have a fourth question. As the provincial government works to consolidate schools and change its school formulas, we're seeing some schools, some high schools in rural communities be closed down. Please speak a little bit about how you would like to ensure that Fox Creek remain an active high school and opportunities you feel exist to ensure that. Sure, Don. Sorry.
That's okay. I don't think any of us want to see any schools closed down by any means, because what would we do with those children? It would be awful to send them one way or the other. So I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question, because, or what we can do about it other than go back to the province and fight for the need to have the schools in our areas.
I think it kind of starts at home as well as within the district. We have to foster a good learning environment for our students so we can improve enrollment, improve grades, improve on everything across the board to show that to the province and to the powers that be that shutting down rural schools is not the answer.
Unfortunately, in my time on the board, I've been involved in one school closure and one reduction of program. And those are the hardest decisions that a board has to meet, because those decisions affect not only schools, but whole communities. As we've indicated, the population of Fox Creek School has been declining. Currently, we have a population of about 60-ish high school students. At some point, there becomes a level where it's not possible to offer programming to those students. So part of and that goes in conjunction with the town. The town, recognizing all the activity that has been going on in the area, has developed a number of facilities in the community to try and attract. We've got every dad in the world out there working. Now we're trying to, what we've been doing is trying to attract mom and the kids up here with what we've been doing. And to some degree, it's been successful. Hopefully, with the next boom that's coming up in the next few years, we can start doing that. We also had an incentive that they were going to try to move the busing rather than Fox Creek back up to Valley View. I fought against that because that would also harm our population. So again, it's a community effort. We need to do as much as we can to get people in town and kids going to the school.
Thank you. Any rebuttal or comment? I think we have additional questions. Could each candidate express views on keeping children safe during this pandemic? Can I start with Gillian this time?
Sure can. I think this pandemic's gone on for a long time, and it's unfortunate the state we're in right now where we have adopted COVID passports and these restrictions. I don't believe it should have gone this far. I believe that we need to do what we can to put an end to this, whether that means wearing your mask, getting vaccinated, and just doing your part.
Jim.
The board has been recently faced with some decisions as the provincial government advocated their role in directing health. And as a board, we chose to put masking in place for all of our students. Masking in place is mandated by the provincial government on buses. And I'm with Gillian. We need to do whatever we can to have this ended. I'm talking to the principal. The kids would rather wear masks than go back to online learning. And it's just untenable. So we need to get this over and done with so everybody can go back to living normal lives.
Thank you, Dawn.
I agree that we need to keep the children safe, absolutely 100%. But as far as Alberta Health Services has suggested that masking not be necessary in schools. And the board did make the decision to put masking in schools. I know the stats are there's 20 schools within Alberta that don't have masking mandates. There's 17 that have, I believe it's junior, senior high mandates, and 5 that were fully mandated, I believe. So I'm not sure why the board decided to, not wanting to make that decision, but they took it upon themselves to make that decision for a school, and that's fine. We're happy to oblige. But I also do feel that just the principle stating that the kids are happy to wear masks and go to online learning. I know for a fact that through speaking with other parents that not all children are enjoying
Our schools, and I would rather err on the side of caution than put our kids' staff at risk.
Any additional rebuttal?
I think it's important to also consider that the number of cases that our community is seeing. Last time I checked, we have 16 confirmed active cases, and children are vulnerable, and they are most likely to be the ones that spread COVID. I'd rather them be slightly uncomfortable than people die.
Any further rebuttal?
There's also been statements by Alberta Health Services that schools are not the driving factor of the spread of COVID. Yes, it's okay to be cautious, and I totally understand that 100%, but I just know that through speaking with other parents in the community and other communities for that matter, they are, I understand we're all stressed and it's getting very old and nobody's enjoying this whole scenario, but we also need to consider families and their choices, their freedom of choice.
I think we've heard some very good answers to this question. We have an additional. With vaccines for children soon becoming available, would you support this program being made available for the students through the school? Would you support information sessions being delivered to parents to provide evidence-based information regarding benefits of vaccination? We'll start with Jim. Sure. With vaccines for children soon becoming available, would you support this program being made available for students throughout the school? And secondly, would you support information sessions being delivered to parents to provide evidence-based information regarding benefits of vaccines?
Absolutely. Parents need to be informed as to what the pros and cons are and able to make a decision regarding their children. Vaccinations have been happening in school since I was going to school, but no vaccination has ever taken place without parental permission. I remember vividly the nurse coming in every year for the grade 5s and grade 9s to give whichever shots they were, and the drama going outside the room as the kids, and they all lived and fine. But yeah, vaccinations available in the school, I have no problem with that. But again, it has to be with parental support and again, parental information available so they can make a knowledgeable decision whether they want their child vaccinated or not.
Dawn.
Sorry, I absolutely support information sessions and them being available. And as I said before, it's as long as there's a choice and it's not being forced on anyone. And it is good to be informed. There's people who fully believe vaccines are what is needed, and there's some that aren't sure or are very hesitant about it. So information sessions would be more than a great thing.
I agree with Jim. I think vaccinations being offered at the school with parental permission would be great. I think it gives parents the opportunity who aren't readily available to take their kids to the doctor or down to the pharmacy to make sure they can get their vaccines a lot easier. And I think it's super beneficial. As for an information session, I think we need it now. Like, I think we needed it when they first started rolling out vaccinations. I think it can only help things.
Thank you. This is quite a hot topic. Is there any rebuttal? Okay. And we have another question, and I think this is the last one. So if anybody has an additional, please get your questions in. How will you ensure that funding is going to the students it is allocated for? Well, let's start with Gillian.
I think that's a good question. As the trustee, we only have one staff, and that staff being the superintendent. We will have to rely on the reporting that is done by the schools to make sure that that funding is being allocated appropriately and sufficiently. Unfortunately, I feel that may be the only thing we can do.
Provincial funding comes in many forms. There is not any money allocated to a particular student. The government has general funding for education overall, which school boards can then budget and use. But we also have certain funds that are put into silos that are designed for specific purposes. The board is quite cognizant of making sure that as much money as possible goes into the schools. That's what they're there for, is to guide education in the division. So, and the board, again, the superintendent, secretary, treasurer present a budget to the board, and the board goes over that with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that the money is going to where it's intended, which is to the students.
Thank you. Dawn.
I think I don't know much about that topic, so thank you, Jim, for helping me understand that. And just, I think, continuing to make them accountable and asking the questions and holding them to what they say the money is going to go to, which should be the students.
Okay. Any further comments on that question? I think we've got a good cross-section of questions asked tonight. I'm just going to make sure that everybody has asked the questions they want of the prospective trustees. Do we have any final questions coming from the audience or the room? Just one moment. With that, can we get some final comments? And I think I'll let whoever would like to go first this time. Who would like final comments first?
I'll go. I guess summing up everything, I'm not a parent, but I do care about education. I do care about this community's children. With the new superintendent, I fully believe that he is capable of doing his position, and I would like to think that I, being new, also would help a forward-thinking momentum that would bring our school into, a new generation. Thank you.
As a wrap up, I have chosen to stay in Fox Creek for all of my career. I had opportunities to go elsewhere. It was best for myself and my family to remain here, and I'm very happy to have made that decision. Education is very important to me. It was good for my kids, but it's way more important for my grandchildren. It's important that you have strong leadership in the position of the Board of Trustees. As I indicated in some of my previous presentations, we're entering a very difficult time for Fox Creek. We need to increase our funding levels. We need to increase our programming levels. We need to continue to support what right now is a strong school. Historically, Fox Creek's results in provincial testing has been very poor. Under the current leadership, we are now at or above average, I believe, in almost every area. So there has been great changes in the school. It is doing good things, and I want to see that continue.
Dealing with, and I want to be that voice and that help that we need, that I think we need in the division as a whole. I'm always honest. I'm very passionate, as I stated before, and I think we just need that positive change in our division, and I think it needs to start right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, for participating tonight. I think that we've seen a good round of questions, and I think we've had some really good answers. There is no small step into public life, and there is no, everybody should be thankful that there are still people that will do it. So thank you, each of you, for stepping forward, and I wish you all the best luck. We're going to take about a 5-minute transition time here while we move from the trustees to the councillors, so please bear with us. We're just about all seated. Just a few moments to get underway with the councillors for Fox Creek 2021, 2, 3, and 4. Can we get a mic check from left to right, please? Check. Check.
Check. Your left or our right?
Check. Check.
Kerri, can I get you to say a sentence, please?
Hi, my name is Kerri.
And again, we're underway. Again, the Fox Creek Chamber of Commerce would like to welcome all of the candidates for the councillors of Fox Creek this year to the forum. And we really appreciate all of you coming and all of you running. I think that we're up for a good discussion tonight. I'm just going to reiterate some of the rules because we do have additional persons that have joined the call. So I'll go quite quickly. I'm the moderator. My name is Christy DeWalt, and I'm the acting president of the Chamber of Commerce. These questions that are being asked are questions from our audience as well as questions from the community. They are not from me directly. Please remain socially distanced while in the building and use your masks and things while moving around. Everybody will have equal opportunity to answer questions. We'll start with the same format where each question you'll be given 90 seconds to answer and then an opportunity to rebut. Language, please use appropriate public speaking language and decorum, and profanity is not acceptable. No disruptions. Please respect other candidates and allow them to answer the questions in a full and complete way. Try and reduce repetition if you can. I know that all of you have a message that you want to send out to the people of Fox Creek, but do try and reduce repetition within your own comments. Unsanctioned recordings, as a reminder to all, use of audio or visual equipment for the purpose of recording may only be done with the proper consent of all of the candidates and the organizer of the event, that is the Chamber of Commerce. And to my note, nobody has permission to record the event tonight except for the Chamber. Electronic use, please do not use your phones or those kinds of things within the recording area. It's possible it'll disrupt the recording. If you are using a phone for notes or things, that is fine. And to the audience, I have one additional request. If you're asking questions online, which we do want to see, please put your name in the comments so that we can also find out who that is. It won't be made public, but it's just so that if we have a follow-up and want to ask some more questions about what the question you're asking, we can. So please do add your name to the question that you post. And without further ado, shall we start on the right? We're going to start out with our favorite topic. Oh, right. I apologize. We have to start out with the introductions. We'll start on the right. That's okay. My apologies. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you plan to help Fox Creek.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to my fellow candidates and school trustee nominees for stepping forward and running for these positions. My name is Chris Stadnyk, and I would like to be re-elected for the Town Council to serve the people of Fox Creek. Little about myself, for people who don't personally know me, I grew up in Fox Creek, moving here in 1994 as a kid, and for the past 27 years, Fox Creek has been very good to me. I met my wife Lara shortly after completing high school, and together we are raising our 3 children here, one of whom graduated last year. We are both quite involved in the community, supporting multiple programs and volunteering when we can. Prior to being elected in the 2020 by-election, I had previously served on council during the 2013 to 2017 term. It was an honor to serve my community in that capacity, and I learned so much during that time. Over the course of that term, my fellow council members and I, along with administration, were able to advocate and achieve our main goals, and in collaboration with the MD of Greenview, started the multiplex and fire hall projects. In addition, we delivered a quality source of water that was desperately needed to the people of Fox Creek by drilling new water wells, scouring old wells, and building a brand new water treatment facility, which in my opinion was the most important project to be accomplished in that time. During my short time with the current council, we have made significant improvements to roadways by paving Highway Ave and Cape Bob Drive, improving the paving of the Golf Course Road from the school turnoff to the 7th Ave, which we finished in 2022. And we also have lowered the new subdivision lot prices so they're more affordable to build in these trying times. If re-elected, I look forward to working with both new and current members of council to keep this momentum going by starting new projects and finishing ones already in progress. It is important to build and maintain our relationships with local industry, business, and fellow governments going forward so that no one is overlooked. In the future, I would like to see a long-term infrastructure improvement plan, continue to promote local business by using their services whenever possible, and advocate for a better support for rural communities like ours. With that said, I do not make promises, but I will do what I can to continue to make Fox Creek a terrific place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Hello, my name is Eric Doran, and I'm running for a position on Fox Creek's Town Council. I moved to Fox Creek in 1997, and I've seen it undergone extensive changes over the years. So many new positive things have been happening, and I would like to be a part of it. I'm energetic and eager to learn. I would like to applaud the previous Town Council for all their efforts, and I want to keep the momentum moving forward. I hope to put an end to some of the negative stereotypes of Fox Creek and showcase the advantages that we have over neighboring communities. The land of opportunity, I like to say. There are countless new economic and recreational opportunities to take advantage of. I believe that with the right steps, Fox Creek will become a popular community for new families to call home. If elected, I hope to work closer with potential developers to put plans in place to avoid unfinished projects becoming blemishes in our community. Driving past some of these incomplete structures or old signs promising future developments daily can have negative impact on the morale and community spirit. We need to clean a few things up, focus on bringing new families to town, and add to our tax base. I will represent our community in a positive way using my business sense to make informed decisions in the best interest of families of Fox Creek. Thanks.
Thank you.
Feeling kind of old here. I have 4 former students running for council. We must have done something right. Good job, you guys. It was with a great amount of deliberation that I chose not to seek the position of mayor in this election. The circumstances dictated this was the best decision for my family and I. I wish Ms. Gilmore, all the best and success in her new position, leading the town for the next 4 years. Having said that, I've been a resident of Fox Creek for 47 years, choosing to work and raise my family here. Over that time, I've been very involved in the community, spending countless hours volunteering, working with youth, and serving on numerous boards and organizations, including 15 years on this town council. While I am proud of the town's progress during that tenure, there are numerous projects that would, I believe, enhance the community. Some of these projects are ongoing, and I wish to see them to fruition. The rejuvenation of Commercial Court. It is over 50 years old and is in desperate need of revitalization. The expansion of the RV campground with year-round services to provide that service to industry as well as tourism and increase the town's revenue stream. Continue the search for low-cost daycare service for the community. Seek compensation from the province for the 9-year delay in securing industrial land for our expansion of our industrial base. This delay severely hampered our industrial development. This compensation would take the form of turning over the forestry land in the heart of our community for a token amount to give us room to expand our commercial footprint. Expand facilities at the multiplex site to include such outdoor activities as basketball, pickleball, beach volleyball, horseshoes, etc. Continue the development of Oasis Park as a center for family activity. The continued lobbying of the province for enhanced medical services in the community so that many of our residents don't have to travel for various treatments and therapies. Continue to promote Fox Creek and area's potential for resource development, geothermal energy, coal, lithium, etc., to complement the oil and natural gas and forest industries that are already vital to our community. To continue to lobby industry on the utilization of local contractors and suppliers. To continue to lobby the provincial government for continued improvements to the Smoke and Ioskin Lake recreation areas. Want to continue to attract business and industry to the area. Example, Tom Hortons and the Opal Power Plant. During current council's tenure, we have seen a number of changes and improvements in Fox Creek. The rebuilding of Highway Avenue, the resurfacing curving of K-Bob Drive, upgrading of the main ball diamond, the enhancement of the Christmas display, the establishment of the library and the multiplex, the expansion of recreation programming for all ages, the establishment of the Junior Ice Kings, site improvements at Smoke and Ioskin Lakes, the establishment of skateboard park, permanent housing of ambulance services, the establishment of the Northern Lakes College campus, increasing the staffing at the RCMP detachment, and the upgrading and modernization of the water and sewer systems. We have been able to maintain and improve services with little effect upon the taxation rate through grants, partnerships, and internal efficiencies. With the current price of oil and natural gas, projections are for dramatic increases in activity in our area. This time, we're ready for it, and we shall do all we can to see the town prosper. This needs proper leadership.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stacy Hanlon. I've been a 25-year resident of Fox Creek. I'm a husband and a father of 3 that have been involved in many aspects of Fox Creek, and we enjoy it and call home. Currently a business owner within Fox Creek, which is relatively recent. My goal and the reason why I want to get on council is I've identified and necessities in Fox Creek to make it sustainable. Some is permanent residential population growth, commercial growth, and industrial growth, along with utilizing the trickle-down effect of social programs like daycare, seniors housings, and the hospital, and focus on the scaling of the current infrastructure so that it does not negatively affect our taxes. And I believe I have the skill set to bring that to Fox Creek with the dynamic of my having a family-orientated, a young family, community-orientated, positive leadership, creative thinking. I believe in fiscal responsibility, high visibility within the community groups, a firm understanding of the market and oil demands and the small companies and what their needs are. And I believe through hard work, I can help bring that to Fox Creek. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
Hi, as many of you know, I'm Kerri Hudson. I've lived in Fox Creek for the last 40 years, so I guess you could say I'm a lifer. I have chosen to raise my family here and embrace all this community has to offer. Most recently, I'm now a business owner. Growing up here, I can honestly say that I love Fox. I take pride in my community. I volunteered my time around the community by being one of the main volunteers to help design, fundraise, and build the skate park. I have also spent many years holding a position on the local minor hockey board, and during those years, I was the chair of the provincial committee. I am now the current chair for the Lions Club of Fox Creek and hope to make that board more active around the community. I've also sat on the school council board for a couple of years. During my time on council, I hope to work with everyone to see more young families buying homes and moving to town. I think by focusing on recreation and developing our commercial and industrial businesses, we would see the population grow. I would also like to build or promote the recreation that we currently have and make Fox Creek known for all the good things it has to offer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kerri. Brenda.
Hello, as most of you know, my name is Brenda Burge. I've lived in Fox Creek for 40 years, except for 8 where we were in Manning and Edson. But Fox Creek has always been my home and always will be my home. I have 5 children and 10 grandchildren. I can't keep track of them all. And Fox Creek is the best place, as far as I'm concerned, to live, work, and play. As I sit here tonight, my goals and wishes are the same as when I first ran and did this speech in 2006. It hasn't got any easier trying to do speeches. They're not my thing. This is my 5th run for council. I hope I can be reelected. When I first sat for council, and still today, all I wanted to do was help make our town a better place to visit, live, and play. Yes, we've made some bad decisions in the last years of council. The one that I can bring to mind the most is our snow removal policy of 2018. Wow, did we learn fast what we did wrong there. But in the last 4 years, I believe we have accomplished a lot of great things and finished some projects. The one that I got asked every time I ran was, when are we getting a sidewalk to the school? So, Miss Linda, your sidewalk was built and I don't have to face that question tonight. It will always be in my heart, Miss Linda's sidewalk. The best thing I believe we've done is had a great partnership and communication with the MD of Greenview. We started this my first year on council, and this council has continued with the great work. And today we have a very strong relationship. They give us a big sum of money to help with our operation and capital projects around town. They also help fund the fire department, clinic, library, and general recreation. Without our partnership in the MD, we wouldn't have this great building we're sitting in tonight or our multiplex that we are all enjoying and using. We will continue to lobby the government to help the school board, to help the town, and just to make sure that they know where Fox Creek is. They get the majority of their spending money from Fox Creek and all the oil companies and businesses around. So they need to know where Fox Creek is and not forget us. We were able to successfully lobby the MD to get our Highway Avenue paved. And I continue and want to continue to work with them, with the governments, to make sure they don't forget who we are. I feel we're doing better with our communication and being transparent. I ride Meesha's coattails on Facebook because I don't know how to run any of that stuff. It's like, thank goodness for Meesha. She's over there for me. And I'm not supposed to repeat what we've accomplished. So I just leave it with what Jim has said and Chris has said. We've had a busy 4 years and I hope to continue doing the work for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
For those who don't know, my name is Meesha McMullen, or Meesha McMullen-Bainton. I'm running for my 2nd term as councillor. When I decided to run again, I sat down and I read my platform speech from 2017 and sat and had a reflection. After reading it, I can say that after sitting on this side of the table, my goals and intent for running were on point with what I want to continue to do as a councillor, which is grow and improve the community, develop and maintain good relationships with our surrounding partners, the MD of Greenview, and other industries in the area, keeping an open and honest line of communication to the public, being transparent about what council is doing and plans to do with the community, and continuously promoting our community to make sure that those who live here, those who work here, and those who are visiting or just passing through know what we have and continue a positive attitude towards Fox Creek, breaking down the labels and stereotypes as it's just a place for a paycheck, it's nothing but an oil field town, and that there's nothing to do here. The last 4 years have provided and continues to provide me with an education on how municipal government works in all aspects, from day-to-day operations to the interactions with provincial and federal governments. What information is needed and how it all plays into grants, what information is needed for bylaws, guidelines, restrictions, etc. The Municipal Government Act, the MGA, which all councils are governed by, as well as what role municipal council actually plays in moving these things forward. I know it's surprising, but believe it or not, it's not as simple as voting yes or no. And serving as a councillor for the last 4 years, I've realized what a municipal council can do, other than sitting around doing nothing, collecting a paycheck and raising taxes. Being this chair for the last 4 years, there are 2 things that sit at the forefront of my mind, and that is one that Councillor Gilmore said in a difficult meeting, which was, we did not put ourselves in this chair, the people in Fox Creek did. Our motions, our budgets, our decisions, etc., all trickle down and affect our community in one way or another, good or bad. The other is a grueling, hard lesson to accept, which is that nothing in politics moves fast, no matter how much we as a council or a community want it. Since I ran in 2017, I spoke about being honest, transparent, and having constant communication with those in the community, as well as holding council accountable for those decisions made. Some of those decisions were not well received by the community and partners, even though there was good intent with moving those things forward. Looking back over the last 4 years at our most controversial motions, lessons have been learned. I would personally still go forward with them. However, moving forward with those decisions would be done differently. But everything's always 2020 when you're looking back over hindsight. I still stand by what I said in 2017, and nothing has changed in those 4 years, nor should it change moving forward. If elected, I want to take my personal experience and knowledge and use both of those to make good informed choices to help my community grow, while maintaining an open and honest bridge of communication with every member of the community, answering any questions that's brought to my attention, and if by chance I don't know the answer, working with staff on getting the facts and knowledge to answer those questions, providing what information I can to those who ask, as well as putting the information out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meesha. So again, I'd like to welcome you and thank you very much for your introductions. We have a first question, and like I said, it seems to be a favorite topic. Given that the federal government is now talking about vaccine mandates and vaccine passport mandates, as well as a discussion at the provincial level with a little different flavor, where does each candidate stand on mandating vaccine passports? I think we'll start in the middle with Stacy, please. Going to the right, then we'll go to Kerri and go to the left.
Very complicated topic. At this current time, I don't believe the town should supersede anything that the provincial government or federal government puts out there. In a nutshell, I don't believe becoming stricter beyond those criteria is required and shouldn't be decided at a municipal level.
Jim.
The town was faced with this question very recently, and we chose to put vaccination proof in place for the multiplex and our recreation facilities. And after great debate, and the reason for that was that without putting the vaccination proof in place, we would not be able to have any adult recreation at the multiplex. That was just under the provincial mandate. Not one person on the walking track, one person who's getting coaching at the weight room. By putting in the vaccine proof, we were able to open it up to everybody, as long as we had maintained masking and social distancing. So it was put it in place and not have the multiplex. Don't put it in place and not have the multiplex functioning, or put it in place and have the service available to most of our clients. So it was a very difficult decision, but that was the decision of council.
Thank you.
I understand the decision made by council to keep the multiplex open. I realize it's a tough decision. I think my stand with it is I'm pro-choice, and I think some of our choices are starting to get taken away.
So we were stuck between a rock and a hard place. I never, ever want to tell people what to put in their body. I don't think any form of government should. However, it was downloaded onto us from the government of Alberta. So we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I agree with Eric too. We shouldn't be telling people what to do with their bodies.
Thank you. Kerri.
I like to see the facilities of the town being used. So if that's what they had to do, then I'll support it. I don't think it's an easy decision. And at this time, nothing is easy when you're being forced to decide these things, I guess. You want to do what's best for what you think that most of the community would like, but can't always be proper. I like that we can still use it though.
Brenda.
I got asked this question the other day, and it wasn't an easy decision that council came up with. We had to decide what was best for our community as a whole. we went through the list of government regulations, and the restaurant would have had to close because outdoor dining in 40 below weather, nobody wants to do that. And that was what it was, outdoor dining with a maximum of 6 individuals per table. And in Fox Creek, that's pretty much a no-go. Weddings and funerals, our community hall, 50 people maximum. No other way. We wouldn't have been able to have Christmas parties. We wouldn't have been able to have funerals unless there was 50 people. So going forward, it was the best thing to try and keep the spirits of the town up. It was terrible not being able to have that facility and not being able to use it. Our Ice Kings, anybody over 18, they wouldn't have been allowed to play. So we went, we deliberated, we were in here for a long time discussing what was the best options, and we went with what we thought would be best for the general public of the town of Fox Creek.
Thank you. Meesha.
Well, as previously stated by almost everyone, it should be a choice, but unfortunately, municipalities are being faced with those decisions. We did go back and forth. We looked at the safety side as well as the business and financial side, because those go hand in hand. As much as we want to keep that business open, running, we're paying for it, we should be using it. We also need to keep people safe. And we as a council had to step up and make that decision to ensure that the general safety is following what AHS and the provincial government says. And then also being able to keep adult programming, full capacity restaurants, et cetera, businesses going as well. That's one thing about sitting in the council's chair, unfortunately, is you have to make the tough decisions, whether you agree with them or not. What council decides as a group when we vote is what goes.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal in the room?
Just as the point, if we hadn't put in the mandate for proof of vaccination, no adults would have been able to use the facilities. Putting it in, at least those people who were vaccinated could use it. So while it wasn't fair to some, it did get the utilization of the building back up.
Any further rebuttal?
Yeah, and my suggestion that about superseding, I'm not criticizing the current council for the stance that they took, and I'm actually relatively supportive. However, I know there are some other communities out there that have gone beyond what Alberta healthcare says. As an example, Valley View has shut down their concession to their arena with 0 tolerance on that basis. And that is what I'm not supportive of, is going above and beyond the expectation of the government.
Any further rebuttal? Okay, thank you. Just as a reminder, when you're speaking, try and look in the camera if you can. I know it's difficult because you're talking to each other and to myself, but again, if you can, try and look at the camera. Our next question. Help us understand the type of leader you will be. By describing your 2 highest priorities for change in our municipality in the short term. This time we're going to start with Kerri. We're going to move this way and then up to Stacy and around this direction. Sure. The question? Help us understand the type of leader you will be by describing your 2 highest priorities for change in our town in the short term. We're going to start with Kerri and move this way, and then Stacy and move that way.
I would like to continue our relationship with the MD to build on Fox Creek and hopefully build some relationships with some of the big oil companies and have them bring people to town, like move the small families and maybe give them some incentive to bring them here. I would also like to promote the recreation around town more throughout the province to bring more tourism and hopefully bring some more money into Fox Creek. So.
there's more than two priorities. We've got a long list of things we're looking at. I know you want to. Right now, it would be to continue working with our MD and to make sure that we've got the proper paperwork, things in place to make sure our funding stays safe coming from them. And to make sure we finally have the Northlands that we've been working for 10 years in our name, not other people's, like, to make sure we have that, to get that done. We're 99% there, but to finish it all off.
Thank you, Brenda.
For type of leader, I don't think it's really leader because there's 6 other people that sit with me. I'm just one member of a team. But obviously I'd like that if my name specifically or anybody's name be brought up with council, that I'd like it to be, they're happy to hear our names. They're happy to talk about us. They're proud of their council. And my top 2 things right now would be to promote everything that we have from recreation, but as well as our school, things that other schools may not have, such as a dual programming, resources from other companies that have been donated to the school, some of our programming that we have through our CRC, and just continue to advocate for our community on every level.
Thank you. Stacy.
Top priority for me is permanent residential growth and organic growth, followed by commercial and industrial growth, and along with a trickle-down effect to all your infrastructure, hospitals, senior care, et cetera. I think we need to maintain what we currently have and promote it through events, et cetera. Like I can say that as a chairman of baseball and bringing 2 provincial champions to Fox Creek, very important. And I think that heightened focus and being recognized in the visibility in your community is going to show the leadership that council needs.
Thank you.
The type of leadership, an open leadership. I believe over my tenure in council and as mayor, I was open to approaches from every aspect, be it citizens in the community with concerns, industry, government. The key to any kind of success is the development of relationships. Through relationships with the provincial government, we got a number of grants. To relationships with our industrial partners, they have invested heavily in the community and do that. Our relationship with the MD has been very positive. So those are the key. One of the key areas I'm interested in is the curb appeal of the town. We had a employee who brought his wife to town and she drove in and started crying. That street appeal was not there. She just says, "Oh God, what have you brought me to?" As she got into the community and developed whatnot, she became very much integrated and part of it. But we need to improve that curb appeal coming up and down the highway so that people want to come in, not just drive by and use a bathroom, but want to come in and see what all we have to offer, the recreation. It's just a beautiful place to be.
Thank you.
The type of leader I am is I like to lead by example, and I think I'm very approachable. My focus is in Fox Creek. Over the years, I see a lot of money be made here, and most of it skips over town, and it's gone to the bigger communities and the bigger cities. I deal directly with a lot of these individuals who work here and send the money back to their families elsewhere. I always ask them why they're not bringing their families to Fox Creek. I think the list of excuses I'm hearing is getting smaller. We've got a lot of recreational activities and stuff in town now that will help that. And the last things I'm hearing is the education and the extracurricular activities and the programs offered in the school. And the other one is shopping. And I'm not exactly sure how we can improve that, but that's going to be my focus.
So I agree with Meesha. We are a group. What I bring to the table is a calm, calculated, reserved voice that tries to make the best decisions with the info that I have and the research I've done. I really would like to see the long-term infrastructure plan. I know it's boring, but we absolutely need one given the age of our community. over the past years, I've never seen us use more local than we have. Over these past years, we've done great using local, and I want to keep that going with businesses and doing construction and whatnot. And then to bring specialist services in the health area to help, so we don't have to travel to Grand Prairie and Edmonton for specialist appointments.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal in the room? With that, we'll go on to the next question. What is your perspective on the best way to collaborate with other levels of government to ensure a sustainable future for our area? And I'll say it again because it's not straightforward. What is your perspective on the best way to collaborate with other levels of government to ensure a sustainable future for our area? And Meesha, are you comfortable to start?
The best way to collaborate with government is to lobby, is your starting basis, but then you also want to create and maintain relationships, because when you go to lobby the different levels of government, having those relations is key. Having partnerships with the MD, with other big organizations in the area, they are able to come with you to lobby the government, and just having those successes as well as getting your community involved to lobby, petition, et cetera, where they can as well.
Okay, there's the different levels, and with the MD, we like to keep an open and, I don't know what you call it, free. We have meetings with them, multiple meetings. Our CAO has a really great relationship with the MD, and partnership. The government's all about partnerships. So if we can, as Meesha said, partner and lobby to the government, partner with the MD, partner with the oil companies, partner with other towns, and let our voices be heard. Because the more they hear from us, the more they realize what we need.
There's not really much more to add to that, but to sustain the relationship with the MD. There's power in numbers, so find other communities that are facing the same conflicts that Fox Creek is and go lobby the government.
I believe in building the relationships along with aligning goals. I don't believe if you have competing goals with municipality or other levels of government, you will be successful in your pursuit. So alignment is the key.
Sort of going to echo what everybody else has said. The relationships are very important. If you go to a different level of government and you hit them up with, we need help doing this. Well, okay, you're asking for help, but if you built up a relationship at a different level before you go that, you start off on a different plane. That goes for various levels of government, be it the MD of Greenview, be it the province of Alberta, be it the MLAs, be it industry. The relationships are key to everything.
I think some of the more experienced counselors answered this question very well. I agree with all the thoughts.
And I agree with Eric.
I have one thing just to add with the collaboration to touch on Jim's point. When working with these groups, when you approach the government, everybody has a problem. Every community has a problem. They're hearing this constantly. One thing with partnering with the MD and other groups, other communities, is you're able to sit at the table and come up with a partial solution that can get you forward. And when lobbying these governments, they're more likely to listen to you if you have a solution or start off as a solution than just saying, we have a problem, how can we fix it?
Any additional comment?
As a town, we have a number of partnerships with different organizations. For instance, the Golden Triangle, Community Futures. We attend various meetings of municipal governments, the Northern Alberta elected leaders. All those things help to expand our people's knowledge of what's happening in Fox Creek, our needs, but also we get to hear what they're doing And that also helps us strategize and develop plans of things that have been working in other communities. So again, those are relationships, and there's all kinds of opportunities to build those relationships.
Thank you. I think that was a difficult question. It was well answered by everyone in the room. Next, we have some questions coming up. Would any of the councillors support the closing of the airport and development of it as a commercial district? I'm sorry, I have to say which order we're going in. We started with Meesha last time. Shall we start over here?
So in previous councils, we, including myself, have been in favor of closing the airport, but I've always wanted to see a plan in action for a new airport before we close ours. I think that's prime commercial real estate, but we do need a plan for a new airport before we close that one.
I agree. It is prime commercial real estate. I think there needs to be a plan in place for for use of the space as well, not just to take down that airport and then post it for sale, for it to sit there empty and unused for years. If we have some big interest in it, I think it could be a possibility.
As Councillor Stadnyk indicated, this discussion has been going on since previous council to this current one. The last statistics we have on the airport, there were 3 registered landings at that facility. Alberta Health will not use it between the months of November and October and April, May, because of the condition of the airport. The oil companies will no longer land out there because the runway is in such bad condition, and they're sucking things up into their turboprops, which becomes a very expensive thing. What the proposal was from the previous council was to close the airport and develop that stretch of land to similar to what they have up in Valley View. If you can pass Valley View, they develop that area on their outskirts. There's a hotel, various fast food restaurants, there's numerous commercial outlets there. And if you drive past those parking lots are loaded all day long. It's turned out to be a very viable economic boost for them. We were in negotiations before the price of oil hit the skids and COVID hit to do a hybrid development with an improvement and extension of the airport so it could be used by everybody, in addition to having a commercial component alongside of it. Those discussions have been put on hold currently, but hopefully we can get those going again once the economic activity in the area starts up again. But again, it's important that we do have air access, particularly for health purposes, emergency services. But yeah, we have in the past looked at closing that airport, but again, making sure that our current services were still available.
I am unsupportive of closing the airport until a viable alternative is found.
I agree. I don't think the airport should be closed until there is another airport in place or plan in place.
I was one of the councillors that voted to close our airport, but the airport would not have been closed until we had a landing pad for stars. The oil companies have been landing in Whitecourt and transporting their people by bus, by car. They land in Grand Prairie, they come down to Fox Creek. The only plane or whatever that was actually benefiting the people of Fox Creek was stars or the air ambulance. And as Jim said, I asked the air ambulance, I said, why do you guys not fly? The airport is unsafe. The runway is unsafe. They refuse to fly in from October until late April because of runway conditions. And now they will not land a plane in there because of the condition of the runway. And to make the runway safer is just too much money for the taxpayers of Fox Creek. We're looking at what we can do, but like Jim said, COVID come, the price of oil dropped. Nobody would do anything to be a detriment to the town people. So it will not be closed until we know further what can happen. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Brenda.
Just to touch on that, the current motion, I think if you go back into the minutes, states that we had moved to close the airport upon the completion of a helipad. Right now, no suitable position has been found for the helipad, so the airport is still open right now. And as everybody else has echoed, that is prime development area, but it also has to be, in my opinion, kind of worth it. We have to have people interested. We have to make sure that we can go on it because we don't want land sitting there either. We can't, in my opinion, we shouldn't close the airport until we have people ready to buy that land. Because then if we close it and then people, those who choose to fly in it, which are few and far between, if they want to, that's not accessible. That's now been removed from our community. But then it's also just open land sitting there again, which is something that we don't need again. So we need to take those steps to build that stuff, and that's not something that happens overnight.
Thank you. Any rebuttal in the room?
Yeah, just to touch, I know the previous council, and I'm not privileged to all the information of the previous council for the decision to close the airport. But the fact is that companies, corporations are going to Whitecourt and getting on buses, et cetera, and transporting their employees from Whitecourt is cause for distress to me, that we need to be focused on getting these corporations into Fox Creek, opposed to being just a hub and transporting. So whether it's a rebuild of an airport or finding alternative is my view on that.
Thank you. Any further comment?
Stacy's absolutely correct. We want those people coming into Fox Creek, not Whitecourt or Grand Prairie or Valley View. But as Brenda said, the cost to the taxpayers of Fox Creek to upgrade that airport so those planes can land here, I think was, Kristen, give me a nod, about $20 million. Yes, no? It was a lot of money. And for the usage of just getting that currently, as I said, there was 2 recorded landings the last time we had statistics. I don't think, 3, sorry. We can't justify putting taxpayers' money into that airport. And it is important, like Stacy says, we want those people coming here, but at what cost? And that's why we were in negotiations with other groups, I can't disclose names, to partner on that kind of a development. So we get both the hybrid, the airport, and some commercial.
And I just feel that relationship needs to be pursued.
Stacy, I apologize. It's 1 rebuttal each. We do have more questions, and the hour is starting to wane a little bit, so I'm going to push on. Can I get each of you to share your opinion on requiring town employees to be vaccinated in order to maintain their employment? I think we started over with Chris last, so I think this time we'll do it a little odd. We'll start with Stacy, and we'll go towards Meesha, and then back to Jim and up.
I think it would be very short-sighted to not provide alternatives to staff, whether it's a 72-hour rapid test or the vaccination. I believe alternatives should be shared with those people and let them be pro-choice.
I do think choice is important. I also feel that sometimes I feel like everywhere else is kind of pushing towards this, like the mandate, the vaccination and everything. Rapid testing is an option. It should be. So if they choose not to get a vaccination, then maybe they should get some rapid testing.
This was another great debate. Yes, we shouldn't have to tell people what to do and what to put into their bodies, but to make our multiplex a place and our community hall a place to be in town where people are free to go as long as they're safe. We felt it wouldn't be fair to the patrons going into the building to have unvaccinated staff there. And OH&S has come out with guidelines saying it is a safety hazard to have unvaccinated people in staff. It's going to come. We're following the guideline. We're trying to be proactive. We followed the guidelines of some of the companies that in the area that have gone to, you must be vaccinated to be on their sites or in their buildings. So we chose to go with, please get vaccinated. And if we had rapid test, who's going to pay for it? Every 72 hours, if we have to have a staff rapid tested every 72 hours, would the cost fall to the staff? Would the cost fall to the general public, which is taxpayers? How many dollars do you want to spend on rapid testing the town staff? So we just chose, it's a hard decision, but we chose to make it mandatory for everyone to be vaccinated.
So when we went through with that, it was safety. It's not just one department. We implemented it across the board. So it's not just the rec department needed to be vaccinated or the office staff needed to be vaccinated. It's across the board. It is a huge safety thing, but it's also, in my opinion, a practice which you preach. If we are expecting patrons to enter the building to be vaccinated, those serving them should be vaccinated as well. Otherwise, it poses a double standard. I can work here, move throughout the building, but for you to do the same, you have to show proof of vaccination.
I couldn't say it any better than Meesha. It was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. But we had to make the decision, and it was for the safety of the public and the safety of the rest of our employees.
Again, I'd like to say that I'm pro-choice. I feel like the choices are being taken away. It's a tough position to be in, but the difference is with the double standard that you don't, like, you choose to use the recreational facilities. It's a recreation. Going to work is different, and people need to go to work. It's not really a choice to go to work.
Yeah, so the bigger companies that other people are working for are choosing to have their employees vaccinated. It would be soon everyone is going to follow suit. I don't agree with it. Like I said before, I don't agree with telling people what to put in their bodies. And if you look at the minutes, it wasn't carried by all council members.
Thank you. Is there any rebuttal? This is a difficult question in our community, and as each of you have answered it, I see a lot of stress in the room. And I also understand from our audience that there are several more questions, and I'm sure that as you continue your mandate, each of you will face this question again. I'm going to try and ask the next one. I'll do my best. I have to read it one more time. With regards to coaches in the multiplex, what is your position on them being vaccinated or not vaccinated? And in relation to how volunteers are allowed to be volunteer when vaccinated or not vaccinated? It's a difficult question. Let's do it in reverse this time. We'll start from Stacy going this way, and then, Stacy going this way, and then Jim going that way.
I've stated that I'm pro-choice under the current administration and the choice that they adopted to impose on the multiplex. Like I stated, I do not believe in superseding the Alberta government. But if that is the road that they had to go down to, and I don't know all the facts surrounding COVID, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but I think evaluation on case basis could be implemented.
I'm a huge volunteer in this community. However, I know as a volunteer, if I'm entering that building, that I will need to be vaccinated. So if they're coaching there or at the school, I think mandated the vaccinations, but then they would have to be, they should have to follow the rules.
I think the coaches and volunteer are what we answered before. Everyone that enters the building, in order for that building to stay open and working at capacity the way we want it to be, it was a tough decision, but it's across the board. Anybody who enters the buildings, the community hall, have to be vaccinated for the safety of our community. It was a tough decision, and everybody was taken into consideration. So I just stand by the decision we made in order to keep it open this winter and hopefully have some hockey games and hopefully let the kids skate and just have fun in our community again. We had to make a tough decision.
Currently, we put in the restrictions under the the accession program, and that is essentially the minimum. If volunteers, other coaches, et cetera, or depending on the organization that they're volunteering through their coaching through may have stronger restrictions, that's on that programming, those things. But right now, following the mandate, if you're in that building, you're showing your proof of vaccination, following all the other restrictions in place.
If we want to keep the building open, we have to require proof of vaccination, and that's for everybody who enters the building. There's no option. If we don't have proof of vaccination, then as I said before, almost all adult activities are no longer possible. Again, it was a very traumatic decision that we had to make. Pardon me, but in order to keep staff and our patrons safe, not to mention the kids. I believe yesterday I read that 40% of the current active cases in the province of COVID are kids, are children. So again, if the people want to enter that facility, they have to have proof of vaccination.
I think whatever it takes to keep that facility being utilized, I just hope that the mandates don't see us losing potential good volunteers and coaches that could otherwise could have been there that are going to be staying home.
Again, unfortunately, that decision was downloaded onto us by the Alberta government. They could have made those decisions, but they passed the buck. I feel if we would have had to close that facility, it would have been financially crippling and would not have been the best option. We are still able to provide supports for people the way it is, whether it's in the building or outside the building. And that's the main goal, is to keep that place open so that people can utilize it for social wellness.
Opportunities for rebuttal. Brenda?
I have the information that we were given. It says adult sport, fitness, performance, and recreation. This comes from the government. Indoor activities. No indoor group classes or activities would be permitted. One-on-one training or individual workouts are permitted, but 3-meter physical distancing is required. No contact between players. Indoor competitions are paused except where vaccine exemptions have been granted. There's no restrictions on outdoor play. So we could do outdoor sports all winter long, but basically our building would have been crippled. So this was some of the information we used to make a very, very tough decision.
Thank you very much. If
I would
there's-
just like
quickly.
I would just like to echo Councillor Stadnyk's comment. While there are some restrictions for some people, it does contribute greatly to the mental wellness of a large number of our population.
Thank you very much for answering the question tonight. We have about 15 minutes left. We're drawing to a close, and I'm pleased to say we're changing our topic. For the last question of the night, how would you support the current healthcare services currently in the town, and how would you keep informed of any potential reduction of service? I think tonight we'll start with Chris.
So we do have a very good relationship with our doctors in town, and they do keep us apprised of any issues that do come up. I think we've done what we can with the vaccine rollout, being helping AHS to find a spot to deliver vaccines. And yeah, we've been very cooperative with AHS and going forward with this.
I think the best thing the town can do is just support all the health restrictions and rules that are being put in place to try to ease the pain on our hospital and to support them as much as possible.
Councils years ago made a commitment to having healthcare in the community. They lobbied the government hard and got the hospital here. Over the years, we've had a number of programs in place to make that a high level of service. Currently, the town subsidizes the doctor's housing. We run the clinic for them. So basically, doctors just have to come in and doctor. They don't have to worry about all the other stuff. In all my meetings around the province, every town I have heard of is screaming and looking for doctors. Their level of healthcare is brutal. And they're quite surprised when I say that we haven't had to look for a doctor in 30 plus years. And that's because we value our doctors, we subsidize them, and we try to keep them as happy as possible. Well, it'd be nice to have one or two doctors so you have continuity. We have a cadre of doctors so that there's at least 2 doctors in the community at all times. They've made that commitment to us. And that's partially due to the support that we have given them from the community, from the council, and also the support they get from industry, who are also very concerned about having viable medical services in town for their employees. There was a rumor going around last year, the year before, that the province was shutting down a number of hospitals. We got on the phone and we had an interview with all 5 deputy ministers of health regarding our concerns about Fox Creek's position, our isolation, the types of industry going around. And we got assurance from them that they would not be closing our hospital. So healthcare is extremely important. And if we want to have this community continue to grow and prosper, it's essential that those services are maintained and kept in place.
Well, it sounds like there's a fairly healthy relationship between medical care and the town of Fox Creek. I think one thing and one primary focus of the town council is to assure that the statistics back up to lobby against provincial government with our shadow population and keep that in focus so that we do not ever get threatened with losing our medical services.
Being a former employee of the clinic, that hospital is busy. We can't lose it. I don't think that it can be reduced any. I think that the town really needs to support where it's at right now. The clinic being part of the hospital really helps the doctors with the emergency situations and makes it so that the clinic can stay open and they can still take emergencies. Again, it's busy. It can't close.
As Jim has stated, and Chris, we have a really good working relationship with the core doctors and the doctors that they bring in to help them out. we offer support. We're asking them, what can we do to help you? What can we do to help you? And as to Stacy's, we need to keep records. We have asked and implemented it for before the last turn down in the oil. We have kept track of how many patients they see at the clinic, how many patients are from in town at the clinic. We have patients coming from Valley View to see our doctors because they can't get in to a doctor in Valley View. So they keep very good records of clinic visits. Are they from Fox Creek? Are they from out of town? The hospital, are they from Fox Creek? Are they from out of town? And they've kept us a really good record so that when and if we need to go back, and we will be going back and lobbying the government for more help for the town of Fox Creek and saying, look at your shadow population is bringing this many people to our teeny tiny little hospital. Help us out. And with these statistics, it's a great help.
I think it's just continuing with that relationship, talking with AHS, lobbying, but also working with the partners that we have in the area to recognize that shadow population. But then one other thing is promoting the few services that we do have, our medical capabilities at the hospital compared to, say, Valley View, et cetera, with the equipment that we have. That's all with donation from the larger companies in the area that acknowledge that shadow population. We need to promote those things as well to say, hey, if you take that away, we're going to lose this. Instead of, fighting for the things that we don't have is crucial as well, but also saying that if you take this away, you're going to make it more detrimental loss than anything else.
There's time for one sentence rebuttals if you would like.
Our ambulance service needs to be improved, not necessarily with the local staff, but call times and not knowing addresses with out-of-town staff is not acceptable, and we need to improve on that, whether it's educating out-of-town staff or and always having an ambulance available. There's been times where there hasn't been one available for others.
Thank you. Any last comments? Okay, I want to, before we say our closing comments, I want to say that we've got probably only a few moments left here, about 5. I'd like to say thank you to everybody as we close. And there were lots of questions that were asked online that were not reflected in today's commentary. Many about the multiplex, about the community hall. We saw questions about property tax, a bus to Whitecourt. We saw questions about the MD. We saw additional vaccine questions. We saw questions about councillors and their actions. There will be a summary come out to the councillors of these questions as best we can. We're not going to be able to produce them word for word, but we will do our best. So thank you everybody who asked questions and everybody who participated in answering them. I would like to turn the floor to the councillors for your final comments. Like I said, keep in mind that we've got about 4 minutes left. So if you can, keep it under 60 seconds. Who would like to go first?
So yeah, in closing, I would just like to thank everyone again for taking the time to be with us this evening. And again, thanking all the candidates for stepping forward, as well as the trustees. The past 18 months have been a challenge, and we've made hard decisions that we weren't always happy with. And it looks like that trend will continue for the next while. But I know that no matter what happens after the election on the 18th, that any combination of people running for council will be exceptional in their position and do the very best for Fox Creek.
Just like to thank everyone for their time and for the opportunity and wish all the candidates good luck.
I would like to thank everyone who has put their name forward for council. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude to put your name up for public office for acceptance or rejection. So thank you for doing that. I ask for your support to continue on council. As I indicated, there are a number of projects that I'd like to see through to fruition and a number of other things I would like to initiate. So I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone that tuned in tonight, as well as the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on. I'm here. I'm willing to work hard. I'm identified in the community with a lot of people. I would encourage anyone to stop by or pick my ear, whether I'm at the multiplex or downtown. More than willing to talk to anyone about my platform, and look forward to the opportunity to bring good things to Fox Creek. Thank you.
I'd just like to start by saying I'm excited to work with my fellow candidates if I get elected in. Thank you for this opportunity, and hope the best of luck to all of you.
And I'd just like to wish good luck to the new incumbents that are running. I can't talk. And to everyone else that's put their name in the hat. We old timers know what it's like to be picked and prodded. And sometimes you go downtown for a 5-minute jug of milk and 2 hours later you get home. But that's why I put my name forward. I love the town of Fox Creek and I want to continue working to better our community. Thanks.
I would just like to pretty much repeat what everybody else has said. Thank you for putting this on and good luck to everyone else. I'd like to take my closing to actually address everyone that's listening in. No matter who you choose to vote for, please go out and vote. There is the Alberta government's put a referendum on each of the ballots in regards to equalization payment as well as daylight saving time. So please, whether you check my name, I care, but I would rather that you go out and vote on those referendum issues as well, as this is a referendum that the provincial government will take to the federal government to move forward.
Thank you very much. And Meesha, I think you stole my thunder. It's fine. I think, yeah, we had a great event tonight. Thank you everybody again who helped us put it on. Thank you to the town of Fox Creek. Thank you to the fire department for lending us this great building tonight and the people that are involved with that. And thank you to all who attended and all who attended online. Coming out to vote is probably one of the greatest things we get to do. Please tell the youth and help elderly and older persons in our community be able to vote in these coming days. I think a strong performance in voting will tell people how we feel and what we feel about our community. And again, to reiterate what Meesha has said, there are two important questions on the ballot this year, and that is both daylight savings and equalization, those referendum questions for the Alberta government. Those questions matter greatly to both individuals and businesses in the community. Please take time to vote and talk to others about voting. Thank you very much and have a good night. The Chamber of Commerce wishes you all well. Christy.
Good job.